Welcome to the Gray Area. This is Kevin Gray of 105.3 The Fan. Appreciate everyone subscribing to my YouTube channel right here at Kevin Gray Sports. Be sure to follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, also at Kevin Gray Sports. The Dallas Mavericks were supposed to be on the floor against the New Orleans Pelicans, but due to contact tracing for the NBA's health and safety protocols, they will not be on the floor against the New Orleans Pelicans, where we thought we were going to see the return of the unicorn Kristaps Porzingis. But nonetheless, the Dallas Mavericks seem primed to have the unicorn return to go alongside Luka Doncic once they do get back on to the basketball floor, which is important for a team in the Mavericks who are needing Kristaps Porzingis, his rebounding, his scoring, and his overall versatility shooting the ball from the three-point line. So what does this mean for the Mavericks with the return of Kristaps Porzingis now that we know that his return is imminent once they clear the health and safety protocols in the NBA for the Mavericks going forward? It means that this team has an opportunity to figure out the kind of rhythm it needs to develop going into the next portion of their schedule, especially when you start thinking about later on in the February, where at one point they have 7 consecutive home games. So for the Dallas Mavericks, getting back Kristaps Porzingis means that Luka Doncic will now have the floor spacer that he needs to have in order to stretch defenses from collapsing on him, knowing that there's a threat at 7 feet tall to be able to shoot the ball from the three-point line and also dribble to the basket to make plays of his own. Now, Porzingis isn't going to make a ton of plays as far as his own dribble drive is concerned, but he's a threat enough to do it, given the fact that he's a good enough three-point shooter to make defenses think about it and respect his ability to drive to the paint. But now, more than anything, what we've seen through the first several games for this Dallas Mavericks basketball team is the improved defensive prowess that this team has showed so far in their first 9 games of the season. At 5-4, the Mavericks find themselves in the top 15 in terms of defensive efficiency, which is a far cry from what they were a year ago when they were 18th in defensive efficiency, and more so than anything, they are consistently holding opponents to under 100 points. Now you add in the rim protector of Kristaps Porzingis and his ability to block shots, alter shots, and create paint resistance with respect to the paint is concerned, what you've seen so far from guys like Maxi Kleber, Willie Cauley-Stein, and others. Now you have an opportunity to have a much more formidable defensive presence, especially when you're starting to see Luka Doncic make more commitments to the defensive end of the basketball. So when you start thinking about the totality of the return of Kristaps Porzingis, namely defensively, this is a team that's going to continue to get better.
KP, good to see you. As far as a percentage is concerned, what percentage would you put as far as your progress is concerned as you continue to get yourself back in rhythm and how you're feeling about that progress?
Percentage, it's hard to say. I'm pretty much, now I'm practicing with the guys. Like physically, I'm getting pretty close to where I need to be able to play. Now it's just a matter of time of putting in more work. Yeah, feeling more comfortable out there, and and that's it. And just feeling good on the court. And I know that the doubt is removed by action, and that's why I'm putting in the work to make sure that when I do step on the court, I'm confident and I'm ready to go.
Rick Carlisle has talked about it throughout this season and even before the season with respect to how much this defense is going to have to get better, and it has to be the calling card for this team going into this year. So far, when they've played well and won basketball games, most recently against the Orlando Magic, they have put the clamps on teams, especially with renewed defensive effort, getting into passing lanes and being able to defensively rebound the basketball. Luka Doncic, who had 11 rebounds in his latest triple-double against the Orlando Magic, 10 of those rebounds were on the defensive glass. Now you add Kristaps Porzingis back into the mix, the rebounding margin should get a lot better with respect to the Mavericks not getting out-rebounded by folks every single night. You saw against the Los Angeles Lakers when the Lakers got 35 second-chance points and the Mavericks got 0, what a presence in Kristaps Porzingis means in terms of rebounding the basketball on both the defensive and offensive glass. It's going to be a welcome sight to see him come through. But now when you start thinking about the offensive side of the basketball also, the creativity now that Luka Doncic already displays with his vision, his passing ability, and his court awareness now will make teams have to respect him even more now knowing that a second threat to score the basketball is out there in Kristaps Porzingis. Now, I've heard this point, and I tend to agree with it. When you start thinking about Kristaps Porzingis in relation to what the Mavericks could be in terms of their championship hopes, I'm starting to fashion Kristaps Porzingis more as a Chris Bosh type. Chris Bosh, when he joined the Miami Heat alongside Dwayne Wade and LeBron James, had to adjust his game to become the third option on a team. We say, Kevin, they really don't have the second option right now in order to form that kind of trio that you're talking about. I know they need to go get one, whether it's a Bradley Beal or a Victor Oladipo or a Zach LaVine type who can be the kind of perimeter scorer that could take the pressure off of Luka with respect to perimeter scoring. That's when you can see Kristaps Porzingis slide into that 3 spot as the third best player on a championship team with his ability, like how Bosh had, to stretch the floor and shooting the ball from the perimeter, his ability to rebound, but also his ability to block shots and get key defensive stops, much like how Chris Bosh was able to do during his time with the Miami Heat. And with the ability of Luka Doncic to be the all-everything guard that the Mavericks need, then you get yourself a second scorer that can take the primary scoring load off of Luka Doncic also. Now you can allow Kristaps Porzingis to be fully unlocked with respect to the Mavericks and how they stretch the floor against basketball teams, because now teams will have to defend not 1, not 2, but 3 different options if you decide to add a third scorer to this basketball team, which I think they should do, if not at the trade deadline, definitely going into this offseason, because now with 3 legitimate scorers on the floor, if the Mavericks were able to add another one, now you have the makings of teams getting put pressure on them on multiple fronts, whether it be Luka Doncic and his all-world play, a second scorer, and then Kristaps Porzingis being able to do what he does behind the three-point line. I know Tim Hardaway has played really well, had a couple of 30-point games off the bench, and was able to continue to help the Dallas Mavericks be able to stem the tide in terms of shooting the ball from the three-point line. You've seen contributions from Trey Burke, Willie Cauley-Stein, and others, but this team is at its best when it's shooting the ball from the three-point line with consistency, defending on the perimeter on the defensive side of the basketball, and getting some measure of paint resistance. When you start thinking about Kristaps Porzingis, at 25 years of age, last year averaged over 20 points per game, nearly 10 rebounds, and averaged 2 blocks. The variety of Kristaps Porzingis' game is extremely vital to this team. And we say, Kevin, well, what about his health? He's had an ACL tear, a meniscus tear. I understand the questions and concerns about his health and what that means for the Mavericks, but as long as he remains healthy, this is a team that's going to find themselves being a legitimate threat in the top 4 of the Western Conference, given how they have been able to play defense so far this season. And now adding a guy in Kristaps Porzingis back to this basketball team with his length, his ability to rebound, and his ability to block shots and alter shots, now you're starting to look at the makings of a complete team that could possibly challenge at the top of the Western Conference this year, which coming into this year we thought they could actually do, given that their health be remaining the same once Kristaps Porzingis came back. It seems like we're on our way to seeing the unicorn back for the Dallas Mavericks, which for Mavs fans, that's an important sight to see. And when you start thinking about what Kristaps Porzingis did in the bubble, his ability to score, he had 30-point games against the Los Angeles Clippers. And honestly, if he doesn't get hurt, we may be talking about the Clippers being upset by the Dallas Mavericks instead of the Denver Nuggets in the subsequent round. That's how good Kristaps Porzingis was playing before he got injured with his left meniscus tear. But all things seem to be pointing in the right direction for a Mavericks team that desperately needs Porzingis' size, his ability to shoot the ball from the three-point line. And as Rick Carlisle has talked about it over the years, Kristaps Porzingis is a great shooter from the three-point line, a historical shooter from the three-point line. So that gives you the idea of what Kristaps Porzingis means to this basketball team and how he will continue to help this team grow. But for now, the Mavericks need to deal with what's going on in terms of their health and their safety at this point after getting several players getting into the contact tracing program after coronavirus positive tests for guys like Maxi Kleber and others, trying to figure out what in the world the NBA is going to do from that standpoint alone. But once they do get back onto the floor, the Dallas Mavericks have a great opportunity now with the return of Kristaps Porzingis to really change the dynamic of what they look like as a basketball team on both ends of the floor. And if that is the case, we may be looking finally at a team that can get a top 4 seed in the Western Conference, because right now they are first in the Southwest Division, but they are hovering around that 6, 7, 8 slot, and you don't necessarily want to be there trying to have to be in that playoff situation, trying to find yourself getting into the playoffs and then having to play a team like the Lakers or whomever at the top of the Western Conference in the first round. That's not where the Mavericks should be based on the talent that they have and now the return of Kristaps Porzingis. So once he comes back, and it seems like his return is now imminent with respect to he was going to be in the lineup, at least coming off of the bench potentially against the New Orleans Pelicans, whatever that means for him means that the Mavericks are going to find themselves getting better going into the rest of the season. And for Luka Doncic, it's a welcome sight for what he needs to do as an MVP candidate going forward. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel right here at Kevin Gray Sports. This has been another episode of The Gray Area. Peace.